Today I'm joined by Una, who is sharing her journey through loss, motherhood, and healing. Thank you, Una, so much for being here today. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
So, before we hop into the meat of the podcast, I realized that you are a doula.
Yes.
Awesome. So, I just wanted to talk a little bit about that too. For people who don't know, can you share a little bit about what a doula is and how is it different from a doctor or a nurse who, delivers a baby?
So a doula provides clear communication skills as well as emotional support. The difference between a midwife and a doctor while being a doula is that we do not deliver babies. No. And we don't replace a loved one. We're present for everyone so that your loved one can be with you in that moment. So to give y'all that more of a extra family member support.
Okay, so it's more of a support system for the mother and also a support to the people who are supporting the mom.
Yes, whether it's her partner, mom, dad, sister, auntie, cousin, you name it.
When I think of doula, and this could just be my ignorance, when I think of it, I always think of the doula being at home with the parent. Are you guys at the hospital as
You can
well,
be at
supporting the
home
parent?
or the hospital. Yes. So what's funny is that all the women in your family, they're basically doulas. They're just not certified.
What does it take to become certified as a doula?
So I attended International Doula Institute. It was a 12-week program, and
Mm-hmm.
I received my certification in February. But although I just received it and I really haven't been able to act on it currently, I'm on maternity leave because the way I am when I'm pregnant, I can't
Mm-hmm.
do too much. So I have to
Okay.
wait hands-on experience of being around women who are pregnant. So when it comes to the doula world, how we come in handy of working with midwives and doctors is like not a lot of things when it comes to pregnant mothers of them learning to advocate for themselves. So when it comes to
Mhm.
being inside of the medical field, it's not my job to advocate for them because they need to speak for themselves. Just think of
Okay.
a doula as a gentle reminder, like, hey, you said you wanted to do X, Y, and Z, but also
Mhm.
with being realistic what's going on, remind you about the pros and cons. We
Mhm.
do all the research for you, know, all the boring stuff that you don't want to read. We give it to you.
So it takes some of the load off of the parent.
Yes.
Wonderful. Well, I just learned a couple things about doulas that I did not know. So, your journey to becoming a doula, was this decision made before you had children? Is this something that you've always wanted to do? Or did you feel led to do it after your experience with childbirth and having your own children?
So honestly, when I was a senior in high school and I was like I wanted to be an OBGYN and it kept changing so much. I went from OBGYN to midwife. I didn't even know what a doula was. When I was pregnant with my second child, my
Hmm.
algorithm, the things that I was interested in on Instagram, I came across doulas, black doulas at that. And I loved it. So when I was pregnant with my third child,
Hmm.
the school that I attend now, they
Hmm.
had a free course just so you can get the feel of it.
Hmm.
And I was like, I loved it. But I had to put it on pause because taking care of my family, I couldn't invest in that right away. So
Yeah.
it was up until last year that was my window of opportunity, and I was able to do it, and I took advantage of it.
What do you think the benefit of having a doula of color to someone like, African American women? Because a lot of times, and statistics show that Black women are more likely to pass away during childbirth. We're more likely not to be heard or supported by medical staff. What do you think the importance of having a doula is to Black women?
So something that I love, my school had me to read certain books, but then I
Mhm,
went out my way to read extra books, particularly pertaining women of color.
mhm,
So what's crazy is that when it comes to the medical field, when it comes to doctors, maybe in some midwife, unconsciously, they can be, racist towards women of color without knowing how they
mhm.
feel like what our pain tolerance is. So women our color, even Hispanic women, they get treated the same way they'll treat a white woman or a Korean or a Chinese woman way better just because they think of pain tolerance.
Yeah. And so I feel like that extra support to a family, to a mother is critical. And although you said that you guys don't advocate, but just having that additional support, I think could make a world of a difference for someone who's trying to navigate a system that is not always in our favor.
Yes. So also it's very controversial when it comes to doulas because some people believe that doulas are enablers.
What are some of the instances that people say doulas are enablers? Can you give me some examples of what people are saying that creates an enabling relationship?
So in my family, I come from a long line of caretakers before getting my doula certification. I'm a home nurse aide. So
Mhm,
while I'm referencing this story as a home nurse aide, my job is to meet you in the middle or where to help you at. So that's
mhm,
also what I'm reference to when it comes to working with anybody who's pregnant. I'm meeting you where you at, where your knowledge before pregnancy, what is like being pregnant.
mhm,
So and then it's educating you doing your appointments also, even though your caretaker, which is your midwife or your OBGYN, will inform you on a lot of information. So it's the
mhm.
point to where you writing out your birth plan, what exactly how you want your pregnancy to go. Do you want certain people around you? And once again, I can reference resources and books to you. You still need
Mhm,
to take the action. So it's the action part on the mama. And even when a
mhm.
doula show up, I can't take your pain away. I can't make anything less or different because I'm human too.
And so you guys are work as a team, like you have your role,
Yes.
but the parents also have their role.
Yes.
So let's get into your journey going into your pregnancy. Did you have any hopes or any plans or expectations about how you thought your pregnancy would go?
Every pregnancy you wanna me personally, I prefer to have a successful and positive experience. Yes, you will have your highs and lows. What makes it successful and positive is that both me and my baby come back home together, not one of
Mhm.
us get left behind.
So tell me a little bit about that because we've talked about the birth of a child, right? But there is the unfortunate experience that we have when your child does not come home with you. Unfortunately, we are apart, and I say we because I've experienced the same where I was pregnant, had a miscarriage, and my child was not able to come home with me. So can you walk me through your experience with losing a child at
When
pregnancy?
when it comes to child loss, the day of delivery, it's like one of the loudest things in the room, even with it being so silent. I always express that giving birth was painless because it didn't hurt, but the after effect was the worst pain that I could possibly ever imagine. The
Hmm.
silence, it was so loud that it spread it across the universe. When it happened to me, I was like, not me, because I don't carry two full-term babies. So a state of delusion that this is actually happening to me when it happened.
Hmm.
And I was at my aunt's house at the time, and my son had stuck his foot out, so that's how I knew what it was.
Okay.
And I was using the restroom, and when I wiped myself, that's what I felt. I'm like, I know what a baby foot felt like. So
Yeah.
instantly, my heart just shattered into a million pieces. I didn't have transportation at the time, so
Mhm.
I dialed 911, which was an amazing thing because later on in the story, I ended up needing a DNC surgery, and it
Mhm.
definitely saved my life. When I arrived at the hospital, um, I had a black doctor,
Mhm.
and her name was Paris. So when she told me that, I thought I was hearing things because I named my baby Paris regardless of the gender. So when she reintroduced herself to me, I started boohoo crying because I was like, "Oh my
Mhm.
goodness!" It definitely felt like a sign from God that my baby name was definitely meant to be Paris. I found out what I was having that day because I didn't know what I was having at all.
Yeah.
And hours went by. They wanted my body to naturally release the placenta, but it didn't. My body kept rejecting it because it was doing things to protect my baby. So my body still wasn't fully registering what my brain already knew.
Mhm.
Um, Something I also didn't know, which was like new, which was I didn't know what a DNC surgery was. On top of when you have that procedure, nobody is allowed to come in that room with you but you. So that was also emotion for me because while having emotional support there, I wanted them to be in there with me so bad, but they couldn't. And then it was the after effect. It felt like I was dead when I came back from anesthesia. I woke up grumpy. I'm reminded why I'm here again in the first place.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then seeing your body again after that was like one of the hardest thing ever. It was like guilt, shame. I don't even like the word hate, but I hated my body. I didn't even want to look at myself in the mirror of how you can go from a bump to your stomach being flat
Mhm.
so fast was so
Mhm.
hard to see.
You said that there was some guilt and shame there. Where did the guilt and shame come from for you?
I believe in Planned Parenthood, and when you and your partner really love each other, and people don't like to hear unplanned pregnancy, but when you really love somebody and you show it a different way, it happened that way, and it caught me off guard, and I wasn't in the most brightest mindset.
Mhm.
So prior to my pregnancy, I had told my partner I thought about giving the baby away because I feel like the baby deserved a better life than what I could offer. So that was also weighing on my heart. And
Mhm.
then as days got closer before I even knew that I was going to miscarry, I had to change of heart. I was like, you know what? I'll keep the baby, but I was going back and forth. So it literally crushed me when my
Mhm.
baby just died overall. I was like, dang. So I felt like I was to blame for even thinking that thought. But in reality, it doesn't make me a bad parent for thinking that way, for wanting better for my children. And some of my loved ones told me it was like that's something that a mother would do for
Mhm.
their child.
Yes, yes. And you were trying to protect your child in our society. People aren't supported generally. And there is a lot of shaming and judgment that comes when people make the decision to choose adoption because I am not able to parent that child and you want to give them a better life. Did you have anyone in your corner who was supporting you when you were thinking about making that decision?
Nobody liked it.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
your
nobody.
family knew about it, but they did not support you with that decision?
No.
Mhm.
Mainly they was fighting that. They said that he will take care of the baby.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, no, because what I look like giving you the baby, but I'm not really around them as much as I'm around my kid, my other two that's living now. And
Mm-hmm.
then my mom response was, we don't give hours away.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
What do you,
because I had expectations of my own self. I didn't want to feel like more of like a burden for those to work extra overtime, and it's my responsibility to
Mhm.
take care of my baby. So that's where like pride and ego was coming in at for me. So when I
Mhm.
had this loss, it was a lot of spiritual growth for me, because now
Mhm.
it's gone on 2 years since I've been in my own place, and the way how um I was in stillness for a while before working again, and it changed me a lot. It do hurt that I'm doing a lot of this stuff now when I
Mhm.
wish I could have had all of this when I experienced my loss. So it's also acknowledging how I've grown thus far. It is completely different feels now that I'm pregnant with my rainbow baby, and that's being pregnant after a loss.
So while you did have feelings of guilt, a way that you are choosing to see this as you've grown throughout this process.
Yes, during my loss and still grieving to this day, I put myself in therapy. I chose to heal. I preferred to talk. I was ready to talk. I wasn't always expressing my feelings. I wasn't the best person to do
Mhm.
so. But God definitely got me to open up a lot, because if I was quiet, I felt like it was going to eat me up alive.
Mm.
And I was very honest about everything. People may not like what I'm about to say, but
Mhm.
I was like, I love my son more that he died. When he died, his death told me a lot of things that I needed to know. And honestly, he's with loved ones who's no longer here with me anymore. At that moment in my life, I'm not providing things that I know my baby should have deserved. Where I am now, oh, it's way different. Yes. And that was me being honest with myself. Like, I don't
Yes.
condone teen pregnancy, but it's a part of my story. I was 17 with my first, 21 with my second, and then
Mhm.
22 with my third. And now I'm 25. And just being a young adult, being in
Mhm.
my 20s, having all these kids and still learning things about myself
Mhm.
that, to other young people out there, I would say definitely it's worth the wait. I love my babies. It makes the process a little slower for me when it comes to going after the things that I want. It's definitely still possible, but once again, it's slower.
Grief and postpartum, they are both life altering experiences, that anyone has. So when those two experiences intersect, um, it's a just a different storm that happens.
You can't run from it even when you want to, because your
Yeah.
body gonna act out even if you not even talking.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask, like, what helped you survive those first few weeks or even months following those months, grieving and also experiencing postpartum as well?
When my son died, I started to pray more.
Mhm.
So I tried that for a while. And then for me, that wasn't working no more, because me being angry with God, and my honestly, like, my first real close to death that hit home was my nana. I was in ninth grade,
Mhm.
and she died 6 days later after my birthday. My birthday December 21st, and she died December 27th. And the
Mhm.
last anything I did with her was on Christmas. And our last words were "I love you," and we hugged one another. So that's my last everything with her. So when my son died a month before my birthday, which was November 8th, it was one of those things again, like, God, who do you think I am? Two important
Mm,
people in my life died so close to my birthday. I already don't like my birthday at times. Like, why now? So,
mm,
it went from praying. It went from me like I walked heavily outside. I became like a walker doing trail. Like I had to be outside by trees, and even though I was doing heavy walking, it was also the smallest I've ever been. So when somebody made a comment about my size, it reminded me of my loss. I came across National Maternal Mental Health Line because
mm-hmm,
I googled the words postpartum depression. I wanted to know what that means. And when I say all those different women at the time, they saved my life. Somehow I kept getting the same women over and over again. And it's weird. It was like 5 to 6 women. So when they heard my voice, they knew that it was me. And when I say all those women are missing from me so much, and I always told them like they saved my life. I didn't want to end my life, but
mm-hmm,
I felt very dead inside. And
mm-hmm,
I thank God and I thank them for putting me on the phone with a stranger that I feel like that was my family that I love so much, just to listen to me crying. At the time, I wasn't working when my son died. I was so broke that I couldn't even get my son ashes, and I wasn't on term with my good term with my family.
mm-hmm,
So at the time, the people who took care of me, it was this nonprofit organization with child loss,
mm-hmm,
and it was like it's a cemetery spot in Stone Mountain to where my son could be cremated.
mm-hmm,
And then the only catch was I couldn't have his body, so that I requested that my son get pictures taken, and they gave me a memory box.
mm-hmm,
I also participate in PSI. It's a virtual support group.
mm-hmm,
I participated in a group called Black Moms and Also Women in Color that I
mm-hmm,
felt seen, I felt heard, and then I graduated to my new group, which is Pregnancy After a Loss. This has nothing to do with what color you are. All backgrounds are welcome. So I love it. I look forward to seeing the same woman on there to see how further along that they are and that things are going good in their pregnancies, even with being scared. I
mm-hmm,
was on antidepressants and anxiety medication. At
mm-hmm,
first, I was against it because what you see in movies or how you hear people act, because you don't want to become addicted to it.
mm-hmm,
I knew that I needed it. I knew that I did. It was this particular week that I felt like I was in the hell loop, in a grieving cycle, that I wanted to get out of it so much. I felt it was just going so fast with the whole experience. So when I went to therapy, like I cried out to my therapist. I was like, I want something. I need help.
You mentioned, and I want to break apart what all you just shared because I think it's very important for people to really know about the support that is out there for parents who are experiencing the loss of a child in their pregnancy. So you mentioned the hotline.
National
Okay, the
National
national.
Maternal Mental Health Line is
Okay.
for pregnant women and those in postpartum. When you call, they like to ask a few demographic questions. You
Mm-hmm.
can decline. It's nothing wrong if you decline. It's just for data. So they're gonna ask you your race, your zip code.
Mm-hmm.
Are you in the military or your partner's in the military? They're also gonna
Mm-hmm.
ask you your age and your name. You don't have to give your whole government name. You can give a nickname. If you just want to talk instantly, you could just say I decline, and that's more than okay. It's whatever you're feeling. Because when I was new to it and I was
Mhm.
so fresh in my grieving cycle, and when they asked me my race, I felt so offended. So the next time I called again, I asked the question, why are you asking me this? So then they
Right.
explained it. So I felt comfortable to talk about it. Some days I don't care to give my demographic background because I'm just not in the mood for that.
What was their explanation for asking for your race?
It's just collecting data, see who all use this, because it's a very, very helpful line. They will also, they do what they can to give you more resources, and even while you talking, when they
Hmm.
ask you these specific questions, if they're trained to where if it sound like you're about to commit harm to yourself
Hmm.
or someone else, they're gonna send somebody at your door
Okay. Okay.
to help you.
So they make sure that they gather the information that they need to also make sure that you are protected as well and that you're not doing
Yes,
anything to harm yourself.
correct. Or
And
anyone
so,
else that's around you.
yeah, you mentioned that it's rare to get the same person when you call, but you were
Yes.
able to get the same person. And so, what would you say to someone who is going through what you're going through, but maybe is not able to speak to the same person? Is there a way that you can request to speak to the same support person, or what advice would you give them if that's just not possible?
If it's not possible, something that I love, like when they say their name, I like to hear their name, and also the way how they're talking and engage with me to where it makes me feel vulnerable and safe to open up to them.
Mhm.
And it's
And we're
also remembering that person is not like the last person, that we all have our own personalities, so you won't know unless you give it a try.
yes. So that advice would be to trust the process and
Yes.
get a good feel for the person who is on the other end that's there to support you.
Yes, all those people who are on the phone are highly trained.
Yeah.
Some of them also have experiences of a child loss
Mhm.
or a rainbow baby, or some don't have any experience at all. They can go based off experiences from those around them or from
Mhm.
learning. But once again, they're trained people, so they're just not going to hire just know anybody.
Mhm. Well, that's very reassuring because for people who are navigating such a painful experience, such as a child loss, like you said, sometimes it can be difficult to open up and be vulnerable. But if you know you have somebody there who is trained or, has the experience, then it can make it a little bit easier to open up and talk.
Right. Some of us were talkers. Some of us prefer to go back to work.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, we're gonna come back. Whether it's the opposite, whether you the worker, it's gonna hit you that
Mm-hmm.
eventually you're gonna want to talk. Because once again, a lot of things that I learned is that your body gonna keep count, no matter how much you try to suppress your emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Of uncontrollably of why we'll act out in a way and not even know why we act in the way that we do. Even when you think you the most strongest, because we don't know if we ready for the high and the low. And to
Mm-hmm.
me, that was a low that I didn't think I was ready for.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When you have a loss, whether it's miscarriage, chemical, ectopic, stillbirth, or your baby died from SIDS,
Mm-hmm.
it's the fact that I didn't get that chance to witness my child have a personality that I can only go based off imagination. I don't even know what my child would have looked like. So a lot of that was even more painful and frustration than you can think about. The hopes, the futures, the dreams together, and all of that had to get rewritten because this person not there. So this year will make 3 years
Mm-hmm.
since he's been gone.
And so you mentioned your birthday and your loss being very close. And we know that the anniversary of a loss can be very triggering. How do you take care of yourself around that time? What do you do to help you from an emotional standpoint um, get through those tough feelings that, may come up for you?
I want to say, I would love to say that I try not to think about it so much, but I do. I try. I wish I can just live a day to day, and then when that moment happens, to just feel it.
Mm-hmm.
But then you face it. So for the second anniversary, we had cupcakes because that same month, my oldest, he got recognized for Student of the Month. So we celebrated him and his brother, and we had
Mm-hmm.
cupcakes.
Mm-hmm. As a parent, how did your experience of loss impact your relationship or interaction with your two older children?
It was hard, still is sometimes, trying to balance navigating things. I don't want my living son to feel like he has to compete with his brother because he's missing
Mm-hmm.
from me. It was also hard for my firstborn because at the time he was in kindergarten.
Mm-hmm.
He was really attached to my pregnancy too.
Mm-hmm.
So I put him in therapy too, just like me.
Mm-hmm.
Here and there, he'll talk about that his brother is missing from him. I remember he used to tell me that um he didn't want another baby if I had another baby because he can't get that baby back. And I felt that way. So when I was pregnant, while I'm pregnant now, and in the beginning, I'm not saying anything to my children because they're 7
Mm-hmm.
and 3 now. Um, I was afraid to tell him. It's just I didn't know where to begin. I don't want
Mm-hmm.
to have disappointments on him, let alone myself not knowing how this pregnancy was going to go. And then
Mm-hmm.
eventually I said something because you notice things about mommy tummy growing, my stomach not flat
Mm-hmm.
anymore. And then now what's crazy is that I'm due around the same time as my firstborn. So his birthday is July 25th
Mm-hmm.
and my due date is July 27th. He wanted another brother, but he ended up with a sister. And for him to understand, I was like, when your birthday here, then the baby can come. So he understanding that, and both him and his sister are very excited for their new sibling. My daughter is super duper attached to her sister. She loved talking to her and playing with my belly and tell her see you later. She always checking on me, how I'm doing, because at the time when I had my loss, she was 1, so she couldn't really understand, and it was hard. I'm thankful for her dad. That's also the father of the baby that I lost and who I'm pregnant with now. When I was going through my mental health thing, he kept her. It was
Yeah.
hard to have my 1-year old because she was still in diapers. It was too much for me. I hated the baby owl in Walmart. It was a lot. I wasn't able to do certain things that he was able to do.
How did your partner know how triggered you were by, things like the baby out, and how did he know to get your youngest and take charge?
He didn't know. It's because I advocated for myself. During that time,
Yeah.
we separated.
Mhm.
Um, it was hard trying to co-parent. It was a lot of tension, war, and battle. Um, I felt like he didn't care
Mhm.
because once again, I was a talker.
Mhm.
It was much easier for him to talk to someone else that wasn't me. Because the way he can talk about things, like when it comes to death, it seemed like for him it can be easy to talk about everybody else about anything, but that one particular topic that it happened to be your own child is one of the hardest thing ever, because something that I learned, and
Mhm.
then when it came to putting into words, was that as a parent, it's feeling completely powerless, that you can't do anything to bring back your child. At that
Mhm.
time, I did blame. During those moments in the beginning of the his death, I blamed him.
Mhm.
He blamed himself. I
Mhm.
blamed everybody around me. And then as I was in therapy more and I experienced a rebirth, I realized it was nobody's fault. That was just one of the things that no one could foresee. It wasn't even my fault. When
Mhm.
I talk about using the hotline, they have this mantra to where you are not alone and you are not to blame.
Mhm.
And that's something I really had to soak in, because it's easy said than done. You can say these words a lot of times, but
Mhm.
once again, you really got to feel it in order to believe it. I literally didn't do anything wrong. I treated that pregnancy the way I do any other pregnancies. Some women out here who do things you shouldn't do. Some women smoke, some women drink, some women do all this extra stuff. I'm like, I didn't do any of that.
Mhm.
So once again, when it happened to me, it was just, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. So what did it mean to you then to release that blame for you and for your family?
A lot of forgiveness, like forgiving yourself over and over again. As I stated, in the beginning of the story, of how I thought about giving my baby away. That was the main thing that weighed on me the most, of why I had so much blame on myself.
Mhm. And so you were able to release that in therapy.
I journal a lot. I journal very heavily. One
Mhm.
of the nurses there, actually two of the nurses there, they experienced a child loss, and one of them was pregnant. I felt seen. I felt heard, and one of the women gave me a journal. I was at Northside Gwinnett Hospital.
Mhm.
Um, it's very unfortunate other women didn't experience what I experienced. They took great care of me. They were very kind, very sweet. I even love the fact that them watching me cry, hearing me talk, hearing me just go over and over again in circles, knowing that I was grieving, letting me know that everything that I was experiencing was completely normal. No, you're not crazy. No, you're not insane. Like, I really felt so much love.
Mhm.
I was thankful for um that part of my experience. At that moment, I no longer felt alone. And until you start telling your story, which is your walk of life, you'll learn that there's other people out there that's experiencing the same thing like you. Not a lot of us are voicing it out loud. We're not seeing it in other people's day to day lives. So the
Mhm.
moment I talk about it, just so happened the woman experienced a loss too. The first year of me grieving, and I just randomly started talking about it. 9 times out of 10, that woman experienced a loss too. So once again, God was really close with me, and just shining the light upon me to
Mhm.
really remind me that I'm not alone. Even my mom experienced multiple losses before. And now that I'm older, she opened up to me. Even with my dad being so uptight,
Mhm.
he took accountability and talked about the things he put us through when they experienced a major loss together. And he talked about what it felt like for him when it
Mhm.
came to his loss. So once again, this community is very loud. even though
Mhm.
it's completely silent, because no one knows how to talk about it. You randomly talk about it. This is a very uncomfortable conversation, but also therapeutic.
Mhm.
Um, you don't know until it happened to you, which sucks because this should be a part of Planned Parenthood. The reality when it comes to trying to conceive, some people struggle with fertility issues. Once again, until it's happening, you get informed. And I prefer, once again, when it comes to Planned Parenthood, these are all the things they should inform you about instead of waiting until it's happening to you.
Mhm. I definitely agree with that. And even though it's a tough topic to talk about, especially for parents who are experiencing a pregnancy for the first time, or even people who have had children before, that is very important for parents to know that could be an aspect of pregnancy. And it also prepares the family as well, to educate them on what type of support that they can provide, or even how to initiate conversations around how you would want to be supported as well. Where are you currently? How are you feeling with carrying your daughter now?
Now, I was scared to buy clothes. Now her clothes are growing. She's taken over my closet. At first, I did not want to know what I was having. It was just for my own protection. I ended up being blessed with a girl. I said I wanted a boy.
Mhm.
God feel like I need a girl.
Did you want a boy because you had lost a son, or was it just your personal preference to have a boy?
It was a part of me experiencing loss.
Hmm.
Also, very curious to know what a boy combination looked like between me and my partner, because we share a daughter together. Yes, we share a son too,
Hmm.
but we just won't be able to see what he physically looked like. And there's so many emotions surrounding that. I had to remind myself I'm in a complete different place. I'm in my own place. I'm
Hmm.
not in my mama place or somebody else's mama place.
Hmm.
And I got a lot going on. For me, with having another daughter, it's like now I really got two girls looking up at me, watching everything that I'm doing. It's not to do things so perfectly, but for them to see my authentic self. So
Yes.
that's where the pressure and the anxiety coming at. So my mantra is I want to become the woman I want my daughter to be. And I
Mhm.
also want to be an example of a good woman to my son. I'm not going to
Mhm.
tell them do all this stuff if I'm not doing it.
When you think about the woman who you want to, be for your daughters, what would that be?
Remembering who I was before the world, who got a hold of me, and it's also still remembering who I am before I was even formed in my mother womb, that God remembered who I was, and it still
Mhm.
stands true to that.
Yeah.
Even with having corrections, and that's another word for me not walking a straight path in life, is not saying I was on the path of self destruction.
And when your daughters hear this, hopefully they're able to hear what's on your heart, and what you want for them.
I used to talk futuristically in therapy sessions. If I ever had a rainbow baby,
Mhm.
then I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z. And I'm doing X, Y, and Z plus more, which is like me having therapy, me participating in support group, me utilizing my resources. Yes, I'm not alone with
Mhm.
being pregnant again after a loss. Like, this is my
Mhm.
moment to embrace it. So when my anxiety kicking my butt. The way I had my loss at 15 weeks, and every day leading to 15 weeks scared the crap out of me. And then I had a scare at 15 weeks, not knowing whether or not my baby was going to be alive or not.
Mhm.
And I passed that. And even with passing that, it's every emotion just to see my daughter face, how I um look forward to it. That sometimes I'm like, I want it to be over, but at the same sense I'm soaking it in, because I feel
Mhm.
like most of my pregnancy has been on the child that I lost, which is
Mhm.
also normal. This is my rainbow baby, and
Yes.
that um hope beyond the human capacity, that this is that light at the end of the tunnel. No, it's not going to replace any emotion how I felt about a child loss, or that
Mhm.
is going to change any of those emotions and feelings. I just want to be present for her as much as I can.
I just want to go back to the therapy. So are you currently still in therapy?
Yes, it's been like on and off, because insurance. But right
Yeah.
now, currently, I'm using BetterHelp, because the
Okay.
school that my daughter attend, I was able to have free sessions, because it's a waiting process for therapy.
Mhm.
But I'm utilizing that. I'm
Mhm.
spaced. I had one last month. I'm trying to space it out once a month, because now
Mhm.
in the month of June I'll be 8 months, and then
Mhm.
when I have her, then I want to have therapy again,
Mhm.
of this what it feel like to have therapy in my third trimester, and then what it's like in postpartum, to talk about everything. But for the most part, while I'm not able to have therapy, I journal when I feel like it. In the beginning, I used to journal like crazy. I don't really journal as much.
Mhm. So, can you tell us a little bit about your experience with therapy and some things that were helpful that help guide you through the grief, but also where you are today?
The moment I had therapy, once again, I was a chatterbox. Like, I was just bursting things out. You
Mhm.
don't realize how time go by when you're just talking. You're like, I'm just
Mhm.
talking, talking, talking. So that's what my experience is like. And then
Mhm.
I also seen a psychiatrist, because mental illness run in my family. Both my mom and dad is bipolar.
Okay.
My dad's mom, she's bipolar. And then the people in my mom's side of the family, they're bipolar. So I got tested for that.
Yeah.
But I got diagnosed with PTSD,
Mhm.
and so the psychiatrist explained it to me to where there are natural disasters that happen in life that you can't control. So in 2018, me and my family experienced a house fire that we almost lost our lives. This is my senior year last
Mhm.
semester, and this made national news. So she described that. That's a natural disaster. But then there are things in life when things intentionally get done to you, which is other people doing it to you.
Mhm.
So I don't like to say I was diagnosed with it. That is the medical term. I
Mhm.
love to say that I'm growing with PTSD. I'm growing with depression. I'm growing with anxiety, because until my loss happened, I didn't know that I was already growing with depression, while
Mhm.
being slapped with a whole nother depression, to where you can
Mhm.
just laugh. I can laugh about it now, but it's so serious. I was like, oh my gosh. So it's not even just a race thing, it's all communities. When it comes to mental health is very serious. So this is also a part of my doula journey, which I love so much, because I take mental health very serious. I take it so serious when they ask you those questions during
Mhm.
postpartum, when you go into the pediatrician and they checking on the mama. I want all the mamas out there, be very honest. Don't sit right here
Yes.
a lie when they ask you to circle those numbers, how you doing, and your Muslim they ask you those questions because they want to give you resources. Learning the grieving cycle that some women experience, bipolar, depression, anxiety. Some people have OCD. It's just so much, even psychosis, all the above is very serious. And you don't you feel like you crazy when you say stuff out loud that you feel bad. Some moms be like they just want to toss their baby to get them to stop crying. And the
Mm-hmm.
thing is, the therapist told me that saying it is one thing, but acting on it is very serious. Like during the first year of me grieving, and I was just experienced a lot. I told my therapist, it was like I thought about wanting to just drop my kids off at a hospital and just like go about my life, and maybe it'll be a lot more easier for
Mm-hmm.
me. And once again, she said it's the difference of just voicing it out loud versus acting on it. And then
Yes.
that's the thing about parenthood, that we have these thoughts now we're going to be in trouble when it comes to just being honest with
Mm-hmm.
ourselves.
Yeah. So when your therapist talked to you about the difference between saying it and doing it, how did that help you?
More relaxed, because too busy trying to prejudge myself of what the world gonna do to me.
You mentioned that it's very important for you to be present in this pregnancy and with your children. What are some things that you are doing to actively be present during this pregnancy and for your children?
We have our daily routines. The littlest things is therapeutic, is being able to brush your teeth and wash your face. For me, I have to take extra iron to
Hmm.
give me more energy, and then I'm up and moving.
So that helps you during the
Yes.
pregnancy, throughout the pregnancy, and for your children. The medical staff were in your corner and they helped you
Yes.
during the loss, but they are helping you through your journey with your rainbow baby as well.
Yes, I definitely feel like God has those people in alignment with me, and it's people out there who really passionate and love what they do. Some of
Hmm.
those who don't know how to be as compassionate, some of them can be unconscious without knowing, and some of them are conscious and just not very nice at their job. But for me, I feel very blessed. Every person that I came across, very respectful, kind, nice, and welcoming.
Was there some people felt like they were being supportive, but it didn't come off to you like it was supportive?
Yeah, I do. I did. I cut everybody off. The only
Hmm.
people that I spoke to at the time was my daughter's dad, because we was co-parenting. Well, both the father and my children, actually. For me
Hmm.
having to co-parent, that's the only space I really had for. Other than that, I had to just disconnect from everybody for my
Hmm.
own healing.
So you had to set that boundary in order for you to heal.
Yeah, I had to quiet the noise. It was just too overwhelming. I couldn't handle all that extra stuff while still
Yeah.
trying to process what was going on within me.
You're here now with your rainbow baby. What would you say the light is from your experience? What's the positive thing now for you?
Re-educating myself. I was a Google girl, but this pregnancy I became a book girl, because before knowing that I was going to be pregnant, I was in school. So I was learning. So a lot of things was very healing for me.
Sometimes people feel like, oh, I've been through that once before, and so I don't need to know anything new. You can always learn something.
I read all these books, and then I feel even more prepared.
I just want to talk about the group that you're currently in right now. And could you let us in on some of the things that you are working on and what has been healing for you, within the group?
It's pregnancy after a loss.
Okay,
So that's
so
dealing with stillbirth, miscarriage, chemical, and ectopic pregnancy. It's a long title, but I just for short I'd say pregnancy after a loss. And the name of the group I'm in is PSI. They have a new website. It's
mhm,
called sharewell.com. And when you
mhm.
participate in all these different groups, they're free. It's some groups you pay, but the stuff that I'm on is free.
Okay. And how often do you meet with the group?
Um, it happened on a Monday. It lasts an hour. So when we're in a group, the instructor goes through a slideshow. They introduce themselves. She experienced a loss as well. Everything is confidential. No OBGYNs or midwife or even doula. This is like real life people experiencing in like real life moment. Um, we do introductions. We introduce ourselves.
Mhm,
We say what state we're in. We say our name, if we have living children or not. We
mhm,
state the nature of our loss. And then sometimes she'll ask these random questions just to get the conversation going.
mhm.
And she could say, like, during Easter, do you like those bunny marshmallows?
Oh,
The marshmallows, and you can say yes or no. Funny or serious, yes or no questions to ask.
mhm,
And then we dive deep into the conversation, and then towards the end she will express what are some things that we can do for ourselves doing for the rest of the week or the upcoming week.
and so then is that homework you will take with you and have in between the group sessions?
Yes, you can take that into consideration depending on how many people there. For the most part, people sign up, but not like a lot of people do it. It
Mhm,
was one time that I was the only person there, and it was
mhm,
very nice because it's like very intimate, so you could talk how long as much as you want to. If
mhm,
it's more than like 4 or 6, it's limited talk time for each person, and we all have a fair share. Unless somebody asks for someone's opinion,
mhm,
we don't give our opinion on it. We don't go into descriptive details of the nature of our loss. But then
mhm,
they always say strong emotions are welcome, which is if you're crying on the screen, that's more than welcome when
mhm.
talking.
So, how did this group help you with your current pregnancy and help you deal with the feelings that, come along in your current pregnancy after having experienced the loss?
There's other women out there just like me, even if they're further along in their pregnancy or I'm the one further along in my pregnancy, that
Mhm,
you can learn new things that you never heard of before. Like, all I knew was miscarriage. I didn't know about chemical pregnancy, miscarriage,
mhm,
ectopic pregnancies, stillbirth. Even with me being further along and I hear somebody who's stillbirth, crazy that you get all the way to freaking labor and your baby not breathing the moment you push them out. Sounds like I didn't know that these certain things existed.
Did it help to know that you had a community um, of people from that group to let you know that you're not alone?
I love my community, and I also strongly dislike that we all had to meet this way. I wish we could have met a different way.
Hmm. Hmm. And so, just one last question for people who are listening right now and who might be grieving or who have lost a child and who are currently pregnant now. What would you say to them to help them move through the tough feelings that they may be feeling? I know you talked about shame and guilt and also just staying present for your children and throughout your pregnancy. What would be one word of advice that you have learned from your experience that you would want to pass on to them?
Stillness.
Okay. Tell me more about that stillness.
Stillness, and also another word to anchor yourself. So, stillness comes along, you feel like the world keep moving and your world has stopped. No
Mm-hmm.
one's saying for you to forget about it. It's not even something that is meant for you to wrap your head about it. What's important is that you keep taking a step, even if your step look like you crawling, or
Mm-hmm.
learning how to walk again, or even if you went 20 steps backwards. Stillness is just keeping your eyes focused upon God while you in this journey. You're going to carry it with you until you're no longer living on earth, and you're going to have to learn how to navigate. So that's stillness. And then anchor is when, for me, is learning how to handle your emotions, whether you have kids or not, and being surrounded by family and still going on by your day to day, because now you live a abnormal life. I've always felt like I was abnormal because I didn't go about social norm, but now you have a new normal when you experience a child loss.
Mm-hmm.
That some people, of course, they know you experienced it, but it may not be on their mind as much as you are, and you just have to anchor yourself during those times. The month of October, the
Mm-hmm.
month of October is considered Breast Cancer Awareness Month, but
Mm-hmm.
also those who didn't know, that's also considered Child Loss Awareness Month as well. So if you participate in these walk to remember, um, when you is just shining light all over the world of those who experience loss.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story, but also the many resources that you were able to get connected to. So I would want to share those resources with everyone. And so I will provide that to our audience so that they have those. And then I will post those resources so that everyone has access to them. And I had no clue that some of these resources existed. So thank you so much for sharing that with everyone
You're
as
welcome.
well.
Some of these resources are new. It may not
Mm-hmm.
be like 2 years old,
Mm-hmm.
but I hear that a lot to people that's older than me, because people experience these things.
Mm-hmm.
They created these resources, so definitely utilize these resources. Those who want to
Absolutely.
change the world.
So, yes, we will definitely share those. Is there anything that you would like to share or any anything else that you want to share about your journey or anything you want to leave us with?
My doula page on
Yes,
Instagram
please.
is called her. It's called Her Woman. So it's HER Womb WOMBEN.
I love that. So that's your Instagram handle. And are you on any other platforms?
No, just with Instagram.
Okay. So on Instagram, your handle is her womb.
Her woman. Instead of woman, I put
Oh, womb.
woman because we're all connected each other by each other wombs.
Awesome. Well, Una, thank you so much for trusting us with your story. And I know that this is a very important conversation that not a lot of people talk about, that should be talked about and, should be in the open. But like you said, there is shame that come along with that. But then that creates a space for people to suffer in silence. So I know that your voice and sharing your story is going to encourage so many people and empower them to talk more about their loss and their feelings that, they are currently experiencing, especially with carrying their rainbow baby or having a rainbow baby. So thank you so much again.
Thank you for having me.
Grief never asks for permission, it just arrives. And we're stuck having to pick up the pieces and deal with it. But healing is where we take our power back. Healing is what we get to choose, not by pretending it didn't happen, but allowing ourselves to be real, raw, and vulnerable, to be human. If you're parenting after a loss and carrying your rainbow baby, know this: you don't have to choose between grief and joy. You are allowed to hold space for both. To everyone who's listening, if this episode was a reminder that you're human too, please like, subscribe, and come back for more. We're everywhere you get your podcasts, and we're on YouTube as well. If you want to get naked with us in a future episode, go to nakedandsane.com. I'm also extending the invitation for you to follow us on Instagram. That's it for now. Remember, vulnerability looks good on you. So let's keep getting naked and stay sane. We'll see you soon. Bye.